You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Shut up and sit down.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture. Let's bring on the host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Sam. I am the queen of rock and roll dogs, and you are listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. It's a rock and roll show all about pets, people, and pop culture. I am live from Las Vegas. I have a pulse this morning, so that means I did not go out last night. And we're going to have a great show today. It's going to be full of information. And as usual, there will be some laughs because that's what we do on the show. If you are new to the show, there's a few ways you can connect with us on the internet. Pretty easy. And this is how you can do it. We run just about every platform you can imagine. So, pick the one that's your favorite. I'm sure you'll find us. Our main website actually is vegasrockdogradio.com, and that's the hub for the show. I just did a little revamp on it yesterday. It's big and bright, and it's as bright as this red Solo cup. That's not classy. I need to get a fancy cup with a dog's face on or something. You can find us on Periscope. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram. And you'll either find me by Vegas Rock Dog or Vegas Rock Dog Radio or Vegas Rock Dog Show or something like that. And I'm multitasking. I am so multitasking in the studio today. You can also pick up rock and roll clothing for you and your pet. This is how all of this came about. We started a clothing company 10 years ago, and a ton of celebrities started buying from us, and we got an incredible amount of press, and things started to snowball from there. So it went from clothing to producing pet events, fundraising for animal rescue, radio, the next step's TV, and now we're live on YouTube. And if you are just watching in for the first time on YouTube, yes, you're not going to hear my guest today. It's a test to see how this whole thing works. It's not really about YouTube working. We know it works. We're using some, and I'm not going to say what it is, but we're using some new technology in the studio to see how it works. So that's what we've got going on there. Now, we do have a blog, and it's called The Rock and Roll Dog, and this is where we do reviews, giveaways. I tell you who's coming on the show. I put up the archive show after the guest has been on, and generally anything that I'm interested in goes on that blog, and that is the rockandrolldog.com. And we are also on a million listening platforms, so more than likely, if you have a listening app for podcasts on your phone, you are going to find us. Just search Vegas Rock Dog Radio. And of course, the most popular one is iTunes, and that's pretty easy to find us. And also, I have a second show. It's not really a show. It's like the mini show, which is a tips show. So it's 30 seconds pretty much of tips for pet parents, how to save money, some practical tips, and just little nuggets, basically, of information that hopefully help you be the best pet parent you can be. I do have a great guest coming on the show today. I was actually going to do my tip of the day, but since we started a little bit late, I'm going to bypass that, and you'll be able to find that on the iTunes tip of the day. So you won't lose out on that, but it will be about the Heimlich maneuver, and everybody does need to know how to do that, not just for themselves, but for their pets as well. I just saw in the news yesterday that the man who invented the Heimlich maneuver, I think he's 92, actually used it for the first time in his life. This week. So was it just a theory? Was it just theoretical? I mean, if it's the first time he's ever done it, that is bizarre to me. Surely you would have to try it one time and say it works. Let's call it the Heimlich maneuver. So I found that funny. But you can do it for your pet. So the two techniques, depending on the size of your pet. And that will go in a pet tip of the day. So I just thought that was ironic. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest who's coming on the show today. And I've been stalking him a little bit online. In fact, a lot online, because that's how I get to know who's out there in the pet world, who's doing great things, who's pioneering and plowing forward, and doing a lot in the animal world that's actually making positive changes. And so my guest is known as the man with an action plan. And he is the 911 call that you make when your cat starts to think out of the litter box, yeah? And after working with them, clients find themselves saying, go cat go, instead of no cat no. And I think that's a great tagline, a really great tagline. I am thrilled, and I'm fingers crossed that my guest is actually live with me. I'm thrilled to have cat behavior consultant Daniel, we're going to call him DQ because he goes by DQ. Daniel DQ Quagliozzi of Go Cat Go, and he's here on the show today. Is that the case, Jim? Are you there, Dan?
I am.
I'm here. Hallelujah! I was almost having a heart attack this morning.
No, I know we had some Skype issues or whatever, but yeah, we got it together.
We certainly did. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's a beautiful sunny day here in San Francisco.
Oh, and it is here too. It always is in Vegas. We get excited when it's a bit, overcast or rains. Well, especially all the Brits here, we love it.
Yeah, well, you'd love it here with all our fog and microclimates.
Oh, yeah, you do. I was reading up about that. Yeah, the fog that you get over there. Does that happen at a certain time of day or a certain time of year? It's a certain time of year, isn't it?
It's different here because we don't really have a summer. Our seasons are so dodgy. We have a really hot October and September.
You do?
Yeah, yeah. And usually probably between December and March, it's supposed to be raining, but we're in a drought in California. So it's been a very, very dry.
Oh, it's cuckoo, isn't it?
Dry year, yeah. But it's it's unseasonably warm and nice, but for sure, the fog comes and goes it's like a blanket of air conditioning that just kind of goes over our city every day. And
that's interesting.
Yeah,
we're
cools down fast.
But we're just dry as a bone, basically.
Yeah.
There is an odd occasion where I'll say, "Oh, it feels kind of humid." It clearly isn't in comparison to other places. People look at you like, "Shut up! You're ridiculous." we can always hope for a little bit of humidity. So how's your week been? Have you had a busy week? Are your weeks always kind of busy? It looks like you're always busy.
Yeah, I'm rarely home. I am usually on the road. I am in somebody else's house every day, sometimes several times a day. And I'm a traveling cat consultant. So basically, I stay within the San Francisco Bay Area, but I'll go within about an hour.
I see.
San Francisco. And so that has me driving a lot, but mostly it has me troubleshooting all over the place, and also via Skype. So I have clients that are everywhere. I mean, in the UK, I have them in Texas, all over California, all over the United States.
Do you know, I think having that accessibility is really important because there are certain people that you want to work with. Right. And, if they're not in your city and they don't travel like you do, or they don't do Skype, it makes it really hard. And there's some people, I really want to work with this person. Right, so I think that's great that you've opened that up. And it's embracing technology, isn't it? Even though sometimes it's not perfect.
Yeah. Well, these are cat people. They don't leave their houses. So you have to get them in their houses. And thank God for the internet because it's created, this cat-centric culture that we are now, we've gotten used to. And we're having, giant conventions and all this stuff, CatCon, all these things are happening because of internet. The internet's help.
It is. It's amazing, isn't it, how it's allowed things to grow so quickly. Now, before we get into a lot of good questions, I want you to tell my listeners exactly what your website is and your social media links so they've got them straight off the bat so that they know where they can go and find you, because I know they're going to want to follow up with, what we're going to talk about today. So what's your website?
Well, I'm pretty easy to find. If you look me up, I am gocatgosf.com. And you can find me on Instagram the same way. It's one word, GoCatGoSF. Facebook, GoCatGoSF, and Twitter, GoCatGoSF.
Oh, don't you love that when you get lucky in the names there for all of the platforms?
Right. Yeah, I lucked out. No underscores.
Now, your mission is to help people better understand their cats and to better understand themselves. And that can be a bit of an eye-opening statement, I think, for anyone who views their cat's behavior as the sole problem. But often, as we know, it takes two to tango.
Right.
So this is not just let's take care of the cat. This is a very holistic approach, which is that humans can often be the cause of some of the behaviors as well. So if you're working with a client and it's clear there's some human retraining or just training that needs to happen, how do you break that kind of news to them?
Yeah, it's okay. So you're absolutely right in the fact that like I cannot solve any cat related issue without knowing who my clients are and knowing how they not only how they interpret what's going on in their environment with their cat, but how is their life right now?
Yeah.
And that's not easy. You know, people when they hire a cat consultant aren't expecting me to delve into their lives. And it's not that I want to know all the details, but I do have to know, like, when you come home, what are you projecting? What energy are you contributing to how your cat views their environment? And for a lot of people, it is a bit of a shock because their expectations of a cat consultant, and sometimes they are because of TV and you know what it looks like on TV.
Yes.
There's an expectation for me to arrive, and I've got magic
dust.
The magic dust I sprinkle on the cat, and they'll stop fighting or they'll stop peeing on the bed, or there's so many issues. And so what my approach is essentially just to go to somebody's house and sit with them before I even meet their cat and talk to them and get an understanding of how they are living in the meow, or are they at all? And that's just my way of saying, are you present? Are you conscious? Are you aware of what's going on in your relationship?
Well, I think that applies to just human relationships, doesn't it, as well? I mean, are you present? Are you living in the meow? That needs to be, that T-shirt needs to come out. You need to make that T-shirt now.
Those are they're on the way. I have a lot of taglines, and most of them are just to kind of get people to. I don't know. It's a little new agey. It's a little spiritual, but I do believe that like cats are the ultimate Zen practitioners, and in knowing the way that they're not thinking the way we do, they're not fast forwarding, and planning and worrying the way we do. They can be anxious, but they don't have the same level of thought that we do. They're not reflecting and pondering and I think that's what screws up a lot of. I think
I read that when you were saying, cats don't think as deeply as we do to the point where we screw up our lives. Because we're just overthinking things.
Not deep.
And then you say they're living in the meow, and of course that's the first level of awareness. You also say it's stop projecting your feelings onto your cat because it's not always about you. And I think that's a really great piece of advice when it comes to anybody's pet. Often it can be solely about the person, and that's not the issue. It's, with the cat, it's actually with you. So are people quite open when, you delve into how they live and how they live with their cats, their personalities and their environment? Are they usually quite open to that, or can they be a bit defensive?
It's a little of both. It's very much like therapy. It's very much like having a counselor in your house. And I have to delineate my advice based on who my client is, or is it a couple? Is it partners? Are these two people trying to solve an issue where they disagree? One has one approach, one has another approach, and that's why they're fighting.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting with people, and I can right away get a really nice snapshot of their dynamic. One of them's rolling eyes while the other one talks, cutting the other one off, or and I literally had to sit there and say, okay, I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, and I value what both of you are saying, and there's definitely, some points that are true, but ultimately, here's what we need to change. And I'm not, it's not my approach to judge a person or to make it a personal issue, even though it is.
Yeah.
It's more about, honestly, it's about backing off, and it's about knowing that cats, I call them the 5 rules of living in Catlandia.
Yeah.
When you invite cats into your home, you are essentially powerless, right?
You've given it up.
You have to give up. You have to
surrender.
Surrender yourself, not your cat. That's my other tagline.
That is a great tagline, because I know that through any kind of problems that people have with their pets or themselves and their pets, it can lead to the pet ends up at the shelter.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I do this. It's 15 years in the business of working both in shelters and with people, and knowing what the consequences are of a wrong interpretation. I invite people to give up a little bit so that they can get some gains out of this relation. And by giving up, I just mean stop forcing your own intentions on this relationship.
Well, and I think a lot of people trying to navigate having pets, like you said, just by their own opinions. It's not necessarily an expert opinion. I would assume it's a very small percentage of people like myself and you who read. We're a student of life. We want to know more about our pets. We want to know about the psychology of them. We want to know about nutrition. But there aren't a ton of people who are at that level, or probably can't even be bothered to even get on the internet and say, God, who's the top, cat nutritionist? I need to make sure I'm feeding my cat the best I possibly can. So it's that's why I love what you're doing, because I think you have a really easy way for people to actually understand what it is they need to do with their cats without having to navigate through the internet. And I think that's really a good thing. That's why I love blogs so much, because blogs make it so easy for people to say, oh, gosh, there's a review on these dog treats. I wonder if they're any good, because I've been looking for good dog treats. And you might happen upon this one great blog post and you're like, that's great. That's healthy for my pet. It's got no chemicals in it, those kind of things. Because I do think blogs really, really, really make it easy for people to navigate. Because if you're not the person that's going to go delving into the internet like we do, then you're going to go by your own opinions, purely by, or I would think also sometimes almost fabricating. And I see this happen. You've probably seen this happen with rescue animals, where people kind of fabricate what they think their life was before they rescued them.
Yes.
And they have no way of knowing.
Such a pet peeve of mine. and I'm not discounting, what people's, their perceptions of a cat's experiences are, but the guesses can be horrible and make, make for a really bad future.
It's a false history.
There's so much info. There's just so much info floating out there that it may not be. It just may not be accurate. And I think a lot of people also I hate to say this, but I'm gonna
say it.
There's an appreciation for drama in rescue.
Oh my gosh, Dan! It should be a reality show. You wouldn't have to make up a single thing because the material is there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
It gets in the way.
In my experience with working with rescue people, we are all passionate. We are all looking to do the same thing. We're all looking to save lives, but we all disagree on how that's done.
Yeah.
And that's where the tension is. But I understand what you're saying. Like, there's the blogging and the information online. There's so much of it.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to do is trying to differentiate what people are finding as just boilerplate advice that really may not be accurate. And
yes, a lot of myths going around. A lot of
myths.
Yeah.
And a lot of just stuff that people have been saying for years that may or may not work.
It's true. It's so true. For example, I saw someone ask, what are your best remedies for when a skunk sprays your dog? And of course, a million people, tomato juice, and it's been proven it doesn't work, and it's still going around. It's still going around. Well,
chances are, most of those people have never had a dog sprayed by a skunk, but they heard a long time ago that tomato juice.
Like Mr. Heimlich. He's never done it in 92 years. This week, he actually gets to perform it one time. I mean, really? So he had this theory.
Right. It's just now he's like, oh, cool. Let me give this a shot.
Oh, it works. And meanwhile, everybody's been doing it.
I mean, in the dog realm, I'll call it the dog realm, like dog people, like dog training, there's a lot more information out there. And I think where people seek information, they get it from dog-minded people.
Yes.
And there's the biggest mistake is because you're working with two different mindsets, the mindset of obedience and then the mindset of punk rock, which is a cat. They're just like, screw you, I'm do whatever I please. So, they're just not, they're not going to do what you tell them to do unless there's a lot of reward.
There's some payoff. There's got to be a payoff. Otherwise, why would you? I think that's what I like about what you do is because it is so much more in depth, and even me reading through the list of services that you provide, I think, oh my gosh, there's so much more to this. And it's just not been as highlighted as the dog stuff. And that's why, that's what I think you're just going to be huge and blow up everywhere because it's so valuable what you do and what you can offer. And this all-round experience that you have, from working in shelters. And I know you do some seminars yourself, and then you also do the one-on-one and all that individualized stuff. I just think you're offering a lot that people aren't aware of. And that's why I've got a lot of cat people listening today, because they're going, oh, yay, cat stuff. There's got to be some more cat stuff, Now, we don't have cats because Jim is allergic to cats. I never knew this until we went to Spain. Half my family were living in Spain at the time, and my sister had a cat. And when we went over, first time he met them, he almost died. I'm laughing about it. And I'm like, he said, I can't breathe. I'm like, what's wrong with you? And he goes, I'm allergic to cats. I'm like, why did you say something? He goes, I didn't want to offend your sister. And I'm like, well, dying in a house is kind of offensive. So that's the reason why we don't have cats in the house. Now, I've heard a couple of things. Maybe you can straighten this out as well. I've heard a couple of things. What is it exactly people are allergic to? On the cat. Is it the fur? Is it the dander? What is it exactly?
It's okay. I'm going to probably say something that someone is going to, somewhere down the line go, see, there's advice that's not true either.
We'll take a chance.
We'll take a chance. It's dander. It's, when cats lick their fur, they leave saliva on their fur that crystallizes, and a lot of times that becomes airborne and goes into the air. So it's very much specific to a person and the cat of choice. I do know that there are breeds that are now, quote, hypoallergenic.
Right.
I have a few clients with, I'll say it's usually the Siberian breed is one they choose. Mm-hmm. It's a nice, fluffy, cute, almost Himalayan-looking cat. Oh. And long-haired, believe it or not. And a few of my clients who have allergies are doing fine with those. Okay. But I wonder don't shop.
Exactly. I mean, particularly cats. I feel like cats are never highlighted enough. Right. Not far from us is Boulder City, 10 minutes from my house. And they have a shelter up there. And they regularly, and this is kind of unusual, they regularly have no dogs available for adoption because they've adopted them all out, which you rarely see that. But then they do really, really focus on the cats, obviously, because that's what they've got left. But I would like to see an equal promotion of cats and dogs when it comes to shelters. I feel like people just don't focus on them enough. I don't know why. It's just a strange phenomenon. It's just odd. I have no answer for that one.
I just know, from working in a shelter for, that was about 12 years. I worked for the San Francisco SPCA. There's a lot of, it's cultural, believe it or not. It's just two very different types of people. And again, thankfully the internet provides a way where we can, and I mean, it can go wrong, but we humanize cats. We make them humorous, and we draw them in. And sometimes the ones that look the wackiest, or the ones that are really special needs, become celebrities because of how interesting they look.
What's the cat that looks like it's is it cross-eyed or? We of course know
popular. It's probably Lil Bub.
Yeah. That's it. And then of course Grumpy Cat. Yeah. But it's I'm seeing the interest in cats grow, which I think is fantastic. It's a big problem though with cats. Like in Vegas, for example, we do have a cat coalition. Thank goodness. Great. And to date, I think in the last 6 years, I think the Trap Neuter Release program, the TNR program, if I'm not wrong, because he puts the stats up there, and I think they've taken care of 26,000 cats in 6 years. And Keith Williams, who owns C5, he was an engineer at Area 51.
Whoa. I know. Wonder what kind of feral cats they have over in Area 51.
I know. But he is of an engineer's mind. So this is why he's managed to tackle this. He said, this is all we do. If we don't rescue and we don't adopt, this is all we do, but we have it fine-tuned. And he said, I looked at the problem and said, what's the problem? Okay, what's the fix? But now how big is the problem? How big does the fix need to be? And that's how he approached it. And it's been phenomenal. And he has this chart and it shows you the numbers going up. And he was saying because we're in a very super warm climate most of the year, that the breeding season is much, much longer.
Absolutely.
So we have obviously a bigger problem with it. He has managed to get people they can register their cat colonies in Las Vegas. I'm not sure if you can do it in Henderson and North Las Vegas yet, but I know he was working on that. So I think that was a really good thing. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, don't tell anyone, but I feed this bunch of cats. And I go, well, where you live? They go, I'm in Vegas. And I go, oh, you can register your colony. Stop being, looking around in the shadows, but you've got to provide, your shade, your shelter, your water, and your food. And,
get them on the books.
Get them on the books. It's great because what Keith did is then worked with our shelter, which I will tell you now is not my favorite place at all in Vegas. I think they have a long way to go with improvements, and they have plenty of money to do it. So it's a cultural thing too there. It's not a money thing. But he did manage to build a relationship with them where he said, if your feral cat ended up being picked up and taken down there because it had been tipped, they would be able to send out images to Keith and say, does this belong to any of your people, this cat?
That's great.
And so he's built a relationship there, which is wonderful.
That's monumental for a shelter like that.
Yeah.
Because, the other way around would be like, feral cat, can't touch it.
Yeah. No hope, can't do anything with it. Yeah, we've got to euthanize it. And it's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. And I think, like you say, surrender. I think they need to surrender to the idea of killing cats. Surrender to that, and then you'll go, okay, so if we're not going to kill them, what are we going to do? And I think that would bring the solutions. You'd have to be a bit more creative then. And I think that's where the cultural, the culture of that needs to change. It should be, let's say, for example, let's take a month. We're not going to euthanize anybody, but what are we going to have to do? We're going to really work hard to promote these cats and work with them and get them in good shape and all this kind of stuff. So that's exactly how I would approach it, most definitely. Well, hang on there, Dan. Have you got? Can you stay and hang around with us? Because I need to run a few commercials. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble. Well, hang on in there. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host, the queen of rock and roll dogs. I will be right back, everyone.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
It's hard to find time for your furry family member. That's where Camp Bow Wow comes in. All-day play and overnight camp, daycare and boarding for dogs. Everything is included. Large play areas for fun and exercise. Spacious cabins, comfy cots, even live camper cams to watch from a computer or smartphone. Camp Bow Wow offers the best care and is the place to go where a dog can be a dog. For locations and more information, visit campbowwow.com.
She was thrown out of a pickup truck.
Somebody threw him out of a car and shattered his leg.
They found her walking on the streets. Many have been abused, malnourished, eating garbage.
Scabs, itching, licking, missing fur.
There's this commercial on TV that the ASPCA does. They want you to send in $19 a month for a dog in the shelter. I think you should go and adopt a dog from the ASPCA and then get that dog on Dinovite.
DINOVITE.com.
You don't need to spend thousands on vet bills.
The answer is nutrition.
The omega-3 fatty acids. Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
When you rescue a dog, you've got to feed him right for life. Every rescue deserves at least 90 days of Dinovite.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
Dinovite is nutrition.
Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
Looking for the best advice on pet health, safety, and travel? Connect with the Pet Lady. Dana Humphrey, also known as the Pet Lady, will surely be in a city near you real soon. She will be spreading the good news for pets and pet lovers, from tips on dog and cat care, pet industry trends, and the best events for you and your four-legged family members. Need a great gift idea or insights on the hottest pet gadgets? Simply follow the Pet Lady on Twitter at Pet Lady World. You can also learn more at The Pet Lady at thepetlady.net.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Just before the break, I was talking to DQ of Go Cat Go, and he's a cat behavior consultant. Are you still with us, Dan?
I sure am.
Yay. Now, when I first saw you, was actually on Animal House.
Right.
Where you were part of the makeover team for the Adams County Pet Rescue. And I've had Patrick Mahaney on the show.
I love Patrick.
He's another one of my, you must follow him because he's pioneering
great.
and he's a great guy. I've met him a couple of times. He's usually for Super Zoo. He was at Blog Pause last year, which was great. So that's when I first saw you. I think we also, you know what? Do you know Rob Semro? He's the one that he narrates.
Voiceover guy.
Yeah. He's a friend of mine. I love him.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. He has the best stories, the best animal stories you can ever imagine. And I think you and I have a mutual friend in Laura Nativo.
Oh, big hearts for Laura Nativo.
All great people. Strangely enough, you're not going to believe this. 10 years I've known her. She has yet to be a guest on my show.
What? Oh, I'll get her on your show.
I'm hoping she's coming
too busy.
I'm hoping I know. That girl works.
Yeah, she's a worker.
No one could ever accuse her of being lazy, but she's usually for Super Zoo. So I'm going to try and snag her because the studio is literally minutes from the Strip.
I may be there too, so maybe we'll get both of us in there.
That would be amazing because by then I should be filming my TV show and that would be even better.
Oh,
we could do both. We'll do radio and TV. I love all of it. So that's where I first saw you was on the show. Do you think it's ever going to make its way to prime time? Is there any movement on it? Because I thought was an amazing show from I call an infotainment perspective. So you get a little something out of it. You cry a little. You're very happy at the end. Very entertained. But I think a great message. So do you think it's gonna happen?
I think the producers have designs on doing it again. I'm not sure. It's an expensive venture, honestly.
Yes.
And the way that Animal House came to be was very much a grassroots effort.
Nice.
It was a very total volunteer effort.
Nice.
And, it's a local recruitment. Basically, you have to go to a town and basically come in and grab all the resources locally to help that town build their shelter. And it was a big endeavor. I haven't heard whether we're going to do another one. I know that the idea has already become popular. There are other shows now on TV that did get on TV. But right now, Animal House lives on YouTube.
Well, I'm going to put that link up again because I watched it again yesterday. It's such a good show, such a great message, and it can be a very good family type show, which we want to bring kids into the fold of really understanding animals and why we care about them, why they're important, and why we need to value them. And it's funny, I was just talking to Ian Harrington, who owns the studio where I'm at, Show Creators here in Las Vegas, and his daughter was in studio and she was telling me how much I said, when are you going to do a radio show? And she goes, I want to do one about white, fluffy Pomeranians. And then I thought, well, I should just have her as a guest because to talk to kids, their perspective of animals would be great. And she's hilarious and she's fun. So I think she'd make for a great guest. But that's what I liked about the show. I thought this could be one of those, the extreme makeover of the home, type shows on a Sunday night. Family sits down and it's a great message and it's fun. It's happy ending. I mean, all of that. Great. So fingers crossed that's going to, even if it lives on the internet, who cares? That's kind of how we do things now. Anyway.
We're all on the internet now. Nobody really watches TV as well. I
got rid of the cable box and Jim will say, let me see what's on TV. And I'm like, we've got all of 4 channels now. Because everything is on my phone anyway that I'm watching. So now I wanted to list some of your services and they're very specialized. And anyone listening, I think you're going to go, wow, I didn't know this was available. Now you do, you consult on litter box avoidance and spraying, petting-induced and play aggression, cat-to-cat aggression, cat-to-dog aggression, fearful or under-socialized behavior, attention-seeking behavior, scratching. Oh, my dogs are scratching right now. They're making me crazy. I can't sleep at night. It makes me insane. I must have screamed, stop scratching 100 times last night.
Not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Not going to work.
I should take my own advice. I'll just get some earplugs. I mean, I'm repeating myself. It must be like that when you've got little kids. You just repeat yourself till you go crazy. You also, I need training, Dan. I need training. Excessive meowing, nocturnal activity. That's me. I'm awake all night. Pica, and I want to talk about that, which is fabric or plastic ingestion. Nail clipping assistance. Integration of newly adopted cats at the household, a super important one. Environmental enrichment, cat-friendly makeovers. Love that idea entirely. That's brilliant. And adoption matchmaking or advisement on the right match for your resident kitty. They're very specialized. They're all very, very important. Tell me about pica. Am I pronouncing that right? Fabric or plastic ingestion?
Yeah, some people say pica. I don't care. Yeah, that's a hard one because a lot of times cats are not, they're eating non-food items, and that may be dietary, which admittingly that's not my expertise, but I do have people I can refer to. I have a really great nutritionist that can help with people that have cats that maybe have low fiber in their diet, or eating foods that are like the caloric content doesn't really match with their energy level. So essentially what I find is that cats they'll chew things like plastic bags, wires, anything really that's laying around. Fabric is a big one. Wool sucking. Suckling on fabric like fleece, things like that.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know about that at all because obviously I don't have a cat.
Yeah. I mean, it's complex, but what ties all those issues together is that a lot of times cats are doing this to self-soothe.
Okay, I see. Yep.
So it's a product of maybe, I'll give you an example. I'm sitting at my table, I'm drinking my coffee. Me and my roommates are having a conversation, and my cat comes thinking, certainly this must benefit me. So comes over, sits in front of us, and maybe we don't pay mind. Maybe we're talking and disregarding him, and he just ups and starts chewing a plastic bag.
There you go.
And that may be because there's a little bit of arousal. Maybe there's a little bit of anticipation that never really happens. And the cats will then misfire and start to sort of chew on something to maybe to soothe that anxiety. But it can also be biological. It can be physical. It's a very complex issue. So a lot of times it starts with me, getting an understanding of what the issue is, and then I may refer to either a vet or a nutritionist.
And I guess a matter of elimination. You try this, and you're like, oh, it's not that, and I'll try this, and eventually hit on something. You go, that's what's causing it.
Right. It takes time, and it's kind of like what I said earlier, where I may come to your house and do a consultation, and spend an hour and a half with you, but that doesn't mean when I leave your issue is going to resolve tomorrow. It could take 3 months.
I think pet owners they lack in patience and sticking to the program. Often it's us, like me. Stop scratching.
Yeah, I mean, just on the scratching thing, if it's happening at night, it may be happening, strangely enough, in tribute to you. If it's happening in places where you sit, places where you sleep, places where your cat finds, this is mine. I own this.
It's always next to my head.
Is high. Yeah, so I better make sure that everybody knows I know this, and then know what happens. But your reaction to that will not have any impact on your cat.
Clearly, because they're still scratching.
There'll never be a point in your cat's, brain where they say, "Oh, okay. I'm wrong.
All right.
Oh, I'm not. I shouldn't do this. Oh, because they're not doing things for you. So why would punishment or anything change their mind?
Do you know the amount of times I hear people say, "My dog did that to me on a purpose." What? That's ridiculous. That's ego, if you ask me.
Yes. It is. It's all, and ego is what's ruining our relationships with our pets, because we do take it all personally. I mean, sure, your cat goes and pees on your pillow. That feels personal, right? It's your pillow, but it may be happening because you are not really fastidious. You're not cleaning your box every day.
Yeah,
you're taking a weekend off and you come back after 2 days. Your cats are very affected by your routines. And they live by your circadian rhythm, even though it's completely opposite of theirs.
Right.
So when that clock that they live by gets a little wonky, a little fuzzy, then they feel unsure. And on top of that, a litter box that's not lining up with their preference or isn't clean, or maybe there's 2 cats, 1 box. your cat will then opt for other locations, and your pillow smells like you, feels like you. That's a comfortable place to go. It's not like, hey, screw you, I'm peeing on your pillow.
Yeah, when you explain this, it makes so much sense. I watched maybe I read one of your articles about declawing, and you're talking about the litter box, and it can be a direct result of having been declawed, and the kind of litter that's in that litter tray is going to cause one of those problems as well. So it's not hey, that's the issue. It can be a myriad of things, can't it?
Sure. I mean, if somebody went and chopped the tips of your toes off and said, "Here, go walk on glass," it's not going to feel good. So a lot of my clients who, not intentionally, there's a lot of education that still needs to be done about declawing.
I agree.
They have it done, or they rescue a cat that's already declawed. Yeah. And those cats have sensitivity in their paws. They have very, very delicate little feet. On top of that, you can't stretch. Yeah. You can't do a lot of things.
You can't function, can you? You can't They can't function, and when you can't function, you're miserable. And especially if you're in pain. I had Jenny Lewis on from No Tails Left Behind, and she's an advocate for not docking tails on dogs, because it's that same lifetime of pain, sensitivity. Right. I mean, a lot of people aren't even aware of that, and they do it because of the look of the dog, the breed, or whatever the AKC wants it to look like. And she's, again, raising this awareness, and I think declawing is right on that same level, which is, might be convenient for you, and it didn't, your cat doesn't scratch your leather couch because it can't, but do you understand, the consequences of what you've done? And I'm sure people feel very guilty once they're actually made aware of it. I'm sure of it. They must feel dreadful.
I mean, that's, when you asked me earlier, when I give advice, how do I tell somebody, how do I give them tough love? Yeah. And declawing is a big one, because they know it's coming. They know I'm going to say oh, gee, your cat's declawed. But I'm certainly not going to mince words. I am going to tell them the truth that, it's done. Okay, here's where we are. This is where we are now. And we have to accommodate what may be discomfort. And it's not your fault if you didn't do it. It wasn't your fault in the beginning. Let's just get all the guilt off the plate, work on reality, and go forward and make this cat, give them some comfort in their life.
I think that's really a great way to approach it, because, you can quite easily be defensive. You could, we all want to get mad at people. Yeah. We do. Well, I do.
That's the animal welfare thing. We get passionate, we get angry. Yeah. And anger is what's sometimes productive.
It depends on how you channel it, isn't it?
Yeah, right. But, I like to hit people with a really soft hammer, I like to give them the advice and then let them sort of shake it off a little bit and realize that, wow, okay, so that was tough love, but it's the truth,
I think you have a fantastic approach with people. One of the things that I like that you do is your environmental enrichment. And I liken this to, for example, I'm in the studio now, and if I don't have all my bits and pieces and everything that I need, and I have some rituals too that I have to have, and I do things in a certain order. Like, for example, I have to always have a pre-show wee.
Well,
if I don't have the pre-show wee, I can't do the show properly. But I'm happy when I've had my pre-show wee, and I've got the fantastic mics that I have, and I have a drink, and all my bits and pieces, and I can function great, and I'm very, very happy. And that's how I equate it to what you can do for your cats. And I don't think enough people do things to enrich their environment, so they can climb and all those kind of things. So I love that. Do you actually help with kind of like the design of certain rooms or homes to really improve that?
Well, I am not a designer. My gift is words. It's not with my hands. I think that what I try to do is, well, let me preface it with this. What stops people from making adjustments to their environment or embellishing more on what their cats want in their environment is aesthetic.
Yes.
And
I agree.
There's just a lot of ugly cat furniture out there.
Yeah, I don't want to see a thing covered in carpet. I'm not into that.
No, it's, the days of beige on beige carpeted cat trees are over.
Oatmeal color.
We need to go forward, and we are. And I think that if you really seek out either prefab stuff that's made already, or just look into your own style and complement what it is that you want to accomplish in your environment. And also what is going on with your cats. So, I mean, a big example would be this, like you've got cats that are fighting, or you got cats that are just, they're all up in your business. You're trying to work. Most of us cat people have computer jobs where we're sitting in front of computers. Computers are the bane of cats because you're essentially sitting there doing nothing to them.
Yes, it looks ridiculous for a cat.
You're sitting there in front of a light screen, and they want to be in front of that, right? So what I do is I talk to my clients about what it is they want. And like you just said, people are organized and they do have their own set ways. And that doesn't mean that you have to give up, your OCDs. You can still be obsessed about what you want, but you have to do it for them too. So I have clients who buy cabinets or turn their bar into a place where their cat can sit up above the bar. Like
fantastic.
Pay tribute to what you want, but pay tribute to what they need. And combine the two. And in this day and age, it's easy to do. You just have to make a little bit of effort. And that's what I try to do.
And I think the products are really improving in a great way. I've seen some amazing stuff that's out there. I mean, we're currently looking for a new bed. We finally got an IKEA. I've lived here for 21 years, whatever it is. And we finally got an IKEA 2 weeks ago. Which was the biggest news in Vegas ever. But we're looking for a new bed, and I'm having to make these considerations, which is I've got a dog that likes to climb under the bed. She's really too big to be climbing under any bed. So I need a bed that she can't climb under, and I need a bed that she can actually climb on top of. So I'm making all those considerations. So when I look at certain things, I'm like, that's not going to work. It's a great bed, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So I need to put her needs first. I really do. She's getting older, so I don't want to jump in on anything high. So I don't know. We may end up just being on a mattress on the floor. In all honesty, it'll work great. But I think the products out there are so much better. I'm sure CatCon is going to be littered with the most amazing products. We won't be able to make it because we've got my twin sister's coming into town, from England. So, but I
will be there. I'll be there with World's Best Cat Litter.
Oh, is that where you're going to be? World's Best Cat Litter. Okay. Yeah. Because if people want to come and meet you, and you're easy to find because you have the best cat tattoos I've ever seen.
Oh, thanks.
On any, are they cats of yours?
No, they're just what I think the tattoos that people see most are the ones on my hands.
They're amazing.
So I have what I tried to do with my hands was kind of honor my spirituality and also cats at the same time. So I have a Burmese Buddha on my right hand, and on my left hand I have it's a Siamese, but in the image of Kuan Yin, which is sort of like the Mother Teresa of Buddhism.
Oh, they're amazing. They are really amazing. I like that you do break the mold of what people think is a cat consultant. You're like a cat. You're just yourself, aren't you?
In that I avoid crowds of people and try to stay home and need to recharge a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I have a quote from you, and it says, I am constantly trying to break the cycle of surrender. I encourage my clients to surrender themselves, not the cat. In other words, surrender to what you can't fix and change about cats, and you will find a solution instead of giving up on them. And it really can be a life or death decision. And I think that's the root of everything. I think, I'm not going to do another break, Jim. DQ and I have such a good conversation.
Breaks.
I'm the boss of me today. I'm acting like a cat. Yeah, this kitty cat is not doing any more breaks. Are you all right with that? He's signaling.
You don't have a choice.
He's signaling to me in the corner there. But I think, like you said, the crux of what you do is about keeping the cats in the home so they can live a great life, that you can be happy living with your cat, that you don't end up dumping them at the shelter. So what would you say is the most common reason why people dump their cats? What would you say it is?
The most common behavior reason is probably litter box avoidance or spraying.
Yeah.
Second to that would be aggression. So aggression it's usually cats fighting cats.
Right.
Or I just adopted a new cat and now my resident cat has lost her mind. That kind of stuff. But definitely spraying and marking is high on my list. And that one it's high because it's not a problem you can live with. It's not, it's a quality of life issue.
It really is.
And I have seen it in so many capacities, where it's a simple thing of every once in a while he just drops a deuce here on the on the tile by the bathroom floor, right. Or a cat that pees only in every sink that we have,
right?
And that's nice that it's contained, but it's in our kitchen sink.
Yeah.
I bring a black light with me usually to people's houses, and I call it the truth light. It's like, well, let's see what's
really
been going on, what you
gosh.
can't see. How bad you have been at cleaning this up,
right?
And we go in and we turn their house into Studio 54. Starts glowing. It's like a rave in there, But here it is. It's like, this is what your cat has been up to. And when you look at it, when you look at a pattern, you can see exactly like for me, I'm looking at locations and what the significance of those locations
right.
are.
So I think people give up, or
they give up very fast.
They just give up. And it's like, oh, why haven't you tried? And I see it all the time on all these lost pet pages and these. This one blows my mind. This one blows my mind. The person that's already living with their pet, and then they're looking for a new place to live, and they pick somewhere that's not pet friendly, and then all of a sudden they can't take their pet. Like, you're mental. That is, that was, to me, that's by design, because in Vegas we have a ton of pet friendly homes and apartments, tons of them, and not, you can't have a pit bull, or you can't have a big dog, you can only have one dog,
right.
And so I feel like people just give up very quickly, very, very quickly, and it's not good enough. I just don't think it's good enough. I think it's not your cat's fault.
Right.
It's not your dog's fault.
Having worked at the shelter all that time, what I realized is once just someone calls the shelter and says, I'm going to surrender my cat and I've given up or whatever, the person on the phone, which was me for 10 years, has to talk them off the ledge.
Yes.
And like, please don't. No, there's things you can do. But on the phone or via email, you can give people all kinds of advice, but it may not apply, and they'll just opt because they've already given up. They're calling the shelter. They're not calling for advice. So they will often just say, I've tried that, and and I'm done. So it's hard to get past that. The what you were explaining, like about like living situations and personal problems. We've had more cats surrendered because of personal issues and the economy than we did for behavior.
Wow.
But I also have to say, this is San Francisco, where the average 2-bedroom apartment will cost you $5,000 a month.
Wow.
And the person who used to live in that apartment probably got evicted with their cat and now can't find anywhere to live.
Right. Yeah,
so
and at those prices,
we had
insane.
a huge rash of people surrendering cats because of just because of a booming tech industry in our city. But so I will I take that into consideration. I know it's hard to be a human being, but in places where you can find a place to live, and I mean, these are your kids.
Yeah. I mean,
Hillary Clinton might not think so.
Oh, that was ridiculous. I mean, first of all, it's apples and oranges, and you can't demean anybody who particularly works for themselves, because it is hard to work for yourself. And dog trainers are important. Cat consultants are important. What about dog trainers that train therapy dogs? And
like $30,000 a year for an animal trainer is a lot of money to make. I mean, so I don't know. I guess we should explain. We're talking about Hillary Clinton, who did there was a video showing her talk about comparing dog trainer salaries to childcare.
Salaries,
and I think that's fine, but don't pit two compassionate industries against each other for comparison. I think what she's trying to say is the kids are important, but God, we're pet people. We don't hear that.
No, I didn't hear that at all. And she said, this one made me laugh because I had a few friends that sprung to mind when she said, "You don't take your dog to daycare." I'm like, I got friends that do that. Yes, I do. Yeah. You don't dress your dog up. Yeah, I do.
You don't put your cat in a stroller.
Yes, we do.
Actually, I know 5 or 6 people who do.
And I think that's what it was. It was a stupid comparison. So don't do any more comparisons, Hillary. It doesn't work because you're going to alienate somebody. Right. And that's right. All these professions, everybody needs to be paid a lot more. But I'll tell you something, and no one dictates what a dog trainer makes, because generally they're self-employed. So if they make great money, it's because they worked really, really hard. Or like yourself, you're never at home, DQ.
I'm
out.
hustling.
You need a superhero's cape DQ on the back.
Yeah.
You totally do. Living in the meow, the 911 for cats. You know what? You need your own reality show. You really do. Has anyone approached you about that? Oh,
yes.
Gosh.
I mean, I'll be honest. I get approached a lot. I get approached probably 2 to 3 times a year by some production company that has a really great cat advice idea.
Yeah.
But they also have, it's usually not straight up, like it's just the show where you are doing cat advice. That's already done. We have Jackson Galaxy. He's doing a great job. And he has broken the ice for me.
Yes. And it's been a really good thing.
Yeah.
You need something, but it just needs to be very, very authentic.
Without giving anything away, I will say that there are 2 things in the works.
I'm excited now.
two very different concepts, but like what I'm used to with these things is that they have the concept and then they have to wait for a network to put money into it.
Oh,
that's
yes,
the hardest hurdle. So
yeah, it is because the studio here they have gone through this process and they are actually signed. They do have a show and a deal, and it was said to have gone quickly in comparison to how it normally works in the industry. And it's funny, everybody runs around with a camera and records themselves and said, I have a reality show. But that's the easy part. The easy part is, can you get someone to represent you? Can you get someone to get you your meetings? Then can you get a network to actually take you on? A lot of them just don't happen. I think, if I'm not wrong, Porn Stars, ran around for 3 years with their show, if I'm not wrong, before it got picked up. So it's a process. We certainly have to be patient, but I see you being just perfect.
Thanks. I have patience in all this, and I also understand the momentum of my life and where I'm going with this, and it's me watching my own destiny kind of unfold, and so it's all happening the way I want at the pace I like.
That's great.
I'm not gonna stop doing what I do.
No,
I'm gonna continue to plug away at this, but ultimately, if it would like what I would like within the next few years or so, because Go Cat Go has been a business for 4 years now.
It's a great name. It's a great name.
Thank you. So ultimately, I would love to have more talented people under my wing.
Yeah.
That work for me, and we spread out even more. We reach even more people, and then I can travel the country doing awesome TV shows.
That would be phenomenal. You know what I like about your service in particular is that you have your rates published. I think that's one of the best things ever, because one, there's no surprises when you get a bill. You know exactly what you're paying for. I mean, you obviously travel a bit, so you have to include all that. I really, really like that about your site, because people know what they're getting into and they say, I can afford that. This is great. Because I think a lot of people don't reach out for those kind of services because they can never get an actual, number from someone as what's going to cost.
Well, you've got to be transparent.
Yes.
And also, I'm not the only cat consultant in the country.
I always say, remember, you can help an animal in need. Either rescue, adopt, donate, volunteer, share their information, rescue your next family member, replace the word shop with adopt, and always be kind to all animals. I want to thank Jim, my producer, for the show today, and I want to thank you, the listeners, for being the biggest part of the show every single week. And today, you've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, where it's all about pets, people, and pop culture. I am your host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and always kiss your pets good morning and good night. I'll see you soon.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.